Hello folks, why am I wearing this mask? There's actually two reasons. One, the religions half of you believe in and half of you argue against are bollocks. And I'm going to show you some context in a minute. The other is because my girlfriend bought me this mask a couple of years ago for Halloween. And you know what? It's kind of appropriate and it kind of feels good doing this for the moment. But here we go. This is me. Okay? Now the reason I had that mask on to start with is this. Okay? I'm going to call this piece religion, the first means of slavery. Okay? Because it's the first way other people instilled fear in people and made them feel they had to do what they were told. Okay? That's the first thing. That's the first thing for this. Okay? But I'm going to give you a little bit of background first. Your Christian and Jewish religion, your New and Old Testament, where did they come from? You want an answer for that? And this will tie into why I wore the mask for a second there. Yeah? Now, when I was a teenager, I moved in with my nan for a brief period before I went out on my own completely. Alright? After leaving my parents' home. And we all have those arguments with our parents, don't we? Alright? She bought me a book by Michael Moorcock, and it showed the devil as something a little bit different, as almost a noble figure. Well, I'm going to show you something else now. I'm going to take it further than that. Alright? Because I already knew then what the devil was, or Lucifer. Your representation of evil in your religion. Okay? Your representation of evil is basically Prometheus from Greek mythology. And what did Prometheus do? Okay? And tie this in with what you know about your religion. Okay? Firstly, Prometheus gave man the gift of fire to give man independence from the gods so he could support himself, or they could support themselves. Result, mankind got kicked out of the foot of Mount Olympus, got made aware of their own failings, and got made to suffer. Right? Which one of the two, out of Zeus and Prometheus, was the one that punished man, that hurt man? You already know. Right? Prometheus then did a second thing, and this will be appropriate to you as well. Alright, because of what you know about your religion. You remember your biblical stories about Lucifer gathering up the angels and fighting God in heaven and then getting cast down into the pits of hell and basically tied to a rock? You remember that? You remember those stories? Of course you do. Well, here you go. In Greek mythology, before your Christian or Jewish mythology was created, Prometheus did exactly the same thing. He got his brothers and sisters, the Titans, to fight against Zeus. That's what they did. They fought against Zeus because they didn't agree with the way things were in Olympus or heaven, whichever way you want to call it, whichever thing you want to call it. Right, you remember that? You remember those stories? Maybe you don't. Well, what was Prometheus's punishment after that? He was sent down to Hades, chained to a rock, to have a crow eternally picking at his liver. Does that sound like anything you've heard in your own books? Does that sound like any of that? It kind of does, doesn't it? So there you go. So, firstly, Prometheus was a champion of man, trying to defend man, and gave man his independence from the gods. He actually gave man their independence. Right? They got kicked from the foot of Olympus, yeah. So what did your devil do? What did your Lucifer do? Huh? You think maybe you're being told that anybody that stands up for you gets punished, and that you have to adhere to the overall rule. Do you think maybe that's what your religion is? Do you think maybe it was a first method of human enslavement? It's not the only method now. Politics does that too. But you think it was the first method? It's something interesting for you, isn't it? Is it? I hope so. Okay? So here's what I can take from that and what you should take from that, okay? And there's more. Your concept of Jesus Christ and God and the resurrection, that was taken from Egyptian religion. The stories of Horus and Osiris. Osiris basically was assassinated by his brother and the kings of Egypt. Kind of sound like the Romans in your Christian Bible? It kind of does, doesn't it? So they stole that story too. The entire concept of the New Testament is stolen from the Egyptians. The entire concept of the Bible was stolen from the Greeks. Are you beginning to see now? Okay? Things you are told to call mythologies are actually the progenitors of your religions that you actually worship now. Now, I ask you a question. Why would you worship a god or a devil based on the fact that it was plagiarized from some other text, when that other text that it's been plagiarized from, you're told to invalidate? Shouldn't that tell you to invalidate the current text as well? It should. It should. So, how about instead of being religious, instead of believing religious crap, you change the way you think and you start believing in what you are now and who you are and where you are. You start looking at the world around you, okay? Because it's obviously a means of control. And you doubt that? Here I say it again. I say it again to you now, okay? Why are you told that somebody that champions you is going to be punished? Why are you told that if you don't adhere to the rules given to you by other humans, you will be punished? Fear. It's about fear. That's what religion is. It was the first means of controlling humans. Alright? It's not the only means now, but it was the first means. And maybe you can see that now. Maybe you're starting to understand. Okay? And by the way, to take it to further context, here you go. Alright? You're Jesus Christ. Yeah? You're God. A lot of other people's God. Yeah? If it was based on the stories of Horus and Osiris, yeah? Tell me how these parallels work together. Your Jesus was executed by the Romans, came back 3 days later and ascended to heaven. Right? In Egyptian mythology, or what we call mythology now, it was their religions at the time, but we've undervalued it now, to take it away from them and to take it away from you. In Egyptian mythology, Osiris was assassinated by the kings of Egypt and his brother Seth. And he basically, a couple of days later, ascended to Duat, to heaven, the Egyptian heaven, or the space between heaven and earth, to ride alongside his father for all time. Are you seeing parallels there? Are you seeing the replications of the story? They might have changed little details, but they're telling the same story. And there's a reason for that, because it worked. They had to demonize the previous story to create the new story for themselves. Are you seeing it now? Okay? And why? Because until the Greeks invented politics, that was the main method of human control. Playing on every human's fears, terrifying them in order to make them do what they were told. That was the first method and mode of human slavery. Now, are you starting to see what I'm saying now? So this is the first in my selection of argument videos, okay? Religion. Okay? Now, I'm not saying you're wrong for believing in something, but don't believe in what you're told. Okay? You don't need to. You're being told to. You're letting yourself be manipulated. You don't need to do that. Okay? See other things. Alright? See more than that. Alright? Assume the possibility that there is more to you than you know. There is. Okay? Whether your consciousness will survive or whether it won't, I don't know. I can't say. I don't know that myself. And you can see from me talking to you now, I know a few things, but I don't know that because I haven't seen it. Okay? And that also means none of you have ever seen it either. So, instead of worrying about what could happen in the future if you don't do what you're told to do, how about worrying about what you do now? That's the important thing. What you do now, not only can you judge, but everybody else can as well. So you be what you can be now. That's what you do. Okay? Okay. This is the first part of the arguments series done. All right. Have a good day, guys.